Thanks for joining us. We are in an active pattern right now across central Indiana. It just seems like it's storm system after storm system, and each one is a little bit different. Sometimes you get more snow, sometimes you get more rain, sometimes you get kind of a mix of both, or maybe even some ice. I'm 13 News meteorologist Matt Standridge. We've got 13 News meteorologist Chuck Lofton here as well. We wanted to break down what we are expecting this weekend because I think we're going to see a little bit of mix of everything across central Indiana. So we're going to take kind of a big look picture at the system, kind of time out a couple things, and then Chuck is going to get into the nitty-gritty with you guys and really kind of highlight some of these events as we are trying to plan out a lot of different things this weekend. It is a very busy weekend, so let's go ahead and get started. Right now, throughout your Friday, we're looking pretty good, but clouds are increasing out there, and you can see this next storm system. This is actually a radar loop from earlier this morning, and look how large our next disturbance is. We've got this system coming in from the west. You've got snow, you've got rain. This thing's coming in from the west. This thing hits us for this weekend. I think the clouds will thicken up throughout the evening, and then you see some of these snow showers across the plains. I think we're going to get some light snow showers here in the evening. They'll be kind of hit or miss, and then they could get a little bit heavier, switch over to some maybe freezing rain and wintry mix, and then we've got a big rain event, and then on the backside even more snow. So we're just going to keep switching. That's why the timing is really important. For some of us, especially to the south, this is more of a rainfall event for us. In fact, we've got flood watches to the south where 2 to 4 inches of rain could be possible there for southern Indiana, and then once you really get into Kentucky. We're probably on more of a cutoff in central Indiana, maybe an inch, maybe even up to 2. For some of us, we'll show you some of those maps in a moment. But the reason why we're timing everything out is we just have so many events going on, from a bunch of college games to we've got girls regionals there on Saturday, and then we've got girls swimming and diving state championships there at the Nat in downtown Indianapolis. So we've got to plan this out. So here's what we're thinking overall. Later this evening and tonight, probably get some snow showers moving in. They should be on the lighter side. And then after midnight, we may start switching over to more of a sleet or even a little bit of freezing rain. We think that takes place by about 11 o'clock. Everyone's going to get a little bit of a different timing, but right there by 11 or midnight, we start making the transition over to some wintry mix. And then sometime in the morning tomorrow, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, we'll go from a wintry mix over to just plain old rain. And there could be a decent amount of rain too. The good news about this is that once we get some rain, we'll start melting any kind of icy accumulations that you could have picked up. And we're going to be talking about some of these accumulations, but here's the thing. The system, normally think whatever the accumulation was, is that's what I see at my house when the system is done. It's not going to be the case here because maybe we'll get a little bit of light snow and maybe even get a stray dusting, especially north of Indy. But then you'll get freezing rain or wintry mix. That'll kind of melt it out or kind of make kind of a slushy mess. And then you'll get rain on top of that. That'll melt it. So constantly what you see on the ground could possibly change throughout the storm system. But one thing we highly recommend is check with Lindsay Monroe tomorrow morning. She'll be tracking a little bit of the mix, a little bit of the rain. She'll kind of show you the timeline for that. And as you switch to rain, things will be looking a lot better for you. Here are the snow zones. We're going to start off with some light snow. This is not a precipitation or an accumulation map. This is just simply the chance of some light snow. We think some flurries. Here's the thing. We've got some clouds that will be snowing right there 2,000 or 3,000 feet above our heads, but there's some dry air underneath. So not all the snowflakes will make it on through. We think a couple could. We've got, a little bit better than a 50-50 shot farther to the north and west of Indianapolis, just under a 50-50 shot for Indy, back off towards the east, towards Richmond and Shelbyville, and then also southwest, Martinsville and Bloomington. And once we get even farther south, we could even get a couple raindrops mixing with a couple of these flurries. So not too much snow to the south. Now, light accumulations are possible generally in northern Indiana. They may get an inch or so. Here in central Indiana, there could be a couple that try to get a quick dusting, but really we're not expecting too much in accumulation. There could be a stray slick spot. We'll watch for those. After about 11 o'clock, we start switching over to this wintry mix. I think at times we'll get some freezing rain and some sleet. It'll be light at first, and then it could get a little bit heavier as we progress through the very early mornings. 7 a.m., this is kind of the start time for when we switch over to just rain. So tonight all the way through 7 o'clock, here in this pink zone, we've got the chance for some wintry weather. Farther to the north, they've got more snow. In fact, they may stay as snow throughout much of the storm system in northern Indiana. But here at home, it could be kind of a wintry mess. But if you're getting up after 7 o'clock, you may not even know that this even happened throughout the overnight hours. You may sleep through this because by the time you're waking up in the morning, this rain, as warmer air moves in, will completely take over. And then if you have slick spots, a lot of those should melt. Then throughout the afternoon, it is a good steady rainfall for us, especially from Kokomo to the south. And, we're at least an 80% chance. It is going to rain tomorrow. So really 100% chance at times. But there'll be some breaks, I think, throughout the afternoon. So let's kind of go through these. We talked about snow. We talked about some wintry mix. Then we talked about rain. Specifically on snow chances, look where the accumulation is, farther off to the north. We went ahead and just kind of made this rough dashed line where folks south of this really don't expect much accumulation. If you're north of this line, you could get a stray dusting in spots, but that's not even guaranteed. But you may have a better chance of just seeing some of these snow flurries throughout the late Friday evening time frame and a little bit into the night. All right, then we switch over to that wintry mix. So what are we thinking for the mix here in central Indiana? Well, we've got this zone here in pink where we could be picking up maybe up to 1/10 of an inch. Here's the thing, we get maybe some freezing rain, but also sleet mixed in too, but then we'll go over back to just plain old rain. So if you do get some, you'll probably melt it in the morning. But the best chance for some of that, we'll have to watch some of these valleys in eastern Indiana. Once you get from Richmond and Centerville south into the Abington, College Corner area, then Liberty and Brookville Lake, that can get a little bit tricky in some of those valleys. But farther to the north and east, we have the best chance for maybe getting a thin glaze before we switch over to just rainfall the rest of the time. And there could be a decent amount of rain with the storm system as it comes on through. I want to show you kind of some of these rainfall totals that we're thinking. So it'll be light at first, but then there's a really good wave Saturday afternoon. This is just the latest, kind of a sharp cutoff. There could be some adjustments that we have to make on where the heaviest rain falls, but I wouldn't be surprised if we had a good baseline around a 1/2 inch to 1 inch for central Indiana, but then some of us could get closer to that 2-inch mark, especially the farther south and east you live. And remember that flood watch, that's farther south where the colors get even brighter, where they could expect even more rainfall. So let's walk through this again with Future Track 13, and then Chuck is going to get into the nitty-gritty for us as we're trying to plan out our weekend. All right, throughout your Friday, we've got some good sun, but high clouds will start to increase, and then we start getting some precipitation. Here's 6 o'clock. We've got Valentine's Day reservations going on. We've got some high school basketball. There'll be a couple flurries coming in, but remember, there's some dry air also, so not all of these are reaching the ground, but we do think there'll be some snow flurries here and there. But notice how even with this model, the heaviest is to the north, and that's where we have a better chance for maybe some slight accumulation. I don't think we're going to see much to the south, and we could also have some raindrops mixing in. But generally, snow flurries from Indy to the north later this evening. But then a warm front's actually lifting on through, so we'll change over from snow flurries over to this wintry mix, and at times it could be some of this freezing rain where you see in this pink color. Here's 7 o'clock. We start warming up enough. Check with Lindsay, but she should be tracking the ice getting out of here. And then it should be rain for the next day, for your Saturday. It's not going to rain all day. I think there'll be some breaks, but a good wave is likely throughout the afternoon. Now, this kind of looks stormy. It's not what this is. This is really just showing you steady rain that could be out there later in the afternoon on Saturday through the evening. Good soaker for us. And then look what comes on the backside. Possibly some more snow showers that we'll be tracking there on Sunday, and there could be some light accumulations with those. So Chuck, winter showing some muscle this weekend, or trying to.
Oh man, that was the key at the backside of that storm system that'll be coming in this weekend, because folks, we are still in winter. In fact, if you take a look at the calendar, we'll spring forward on March 9th. That is 23 days away. The spring equinox on the 34th, and then Easter Sunday, still about 2 months away. So we have a lot of this to go. We heard just a moment ago from Matt about all the activities that are going on. Huge game for IU. Not as big as it looked about 2 months ago. Both UCLA and the Hoosiers have been struggling, but a big game nonetheless tonight in Bloomington. Temperatures in the 20s. We'll have some of those snow flurries, maybe a little bit of snow falling at that point. Now, closer to Indianapolis and Fishers, the Indy Fuel will host the Florida Everblades. That's the minor league team out of Fort Myers. Big night tonight and Valentine's night. I think it's close to a sellout. Also a chuck-a-chuck night in between the second and third periods tonight. You can chuck-a-chuck, chuck a puck with my face on it and win some money for Central Indiana youth hockey. But notice this, we're going to be right around the freezing mark during that time period, again with this light snow falling. We were hearing about rain from Matt a few minutes ago. That's going to be the flavor of the day outside Mackey Arena on Saturday when number 16 Wisconsin comes in to play number 7 Purdue. Boy, Purdue keeps slowly climbing up the national rankings. This is a big game not only in the Big Ten, but it's going to be nationally televised. Temperatures in the 30s. That's a 1 p.m. tip-off tomorrow over in West Lafayette. And then, of course, Butler plays too. Thad Matta's boys have had a very tough year. They'll take on Georgetown. Let's get that win. Still a big crowd at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Temperatures will be in the upper 30s, and that tip-off tomorrow at 2 p.m. But notice, we're not talking snow tomorrow. We are talking rain. And with that steady rain that will come in, that's going to bring us maybe 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch of rain in some locales. But what it will do is wash the snow down, what snow we do have left, but it will wash that salt off too. This is the next weather maker, and I'm telling you, this is a big one. On Sunday, we'll warm up to around 31 degrees, but notice the polar jet over northern Indiana. That flow of the jet stream is going to eventually dip to the south. And when it does, we have a massive change on the way. In fact, this area, and again, this is Sunday, so Minneapolis stretching down to Kansas. You're talking about, well below. In fact, about 25 to 35 degrees below temperature, below average for those daily high temperatures. And then here in Indianapolis, we're watching the polar jet start to drop. And as it does then, both jet streams are in phase to bring colder air to the east central United States. And that's both the subtropical, we used to call it the Pacific jet, and then the polar jet. But look how close they are. This is highly unusual for February, folks. You would see this, more in early January around here. And even then, not that much. And usually when you see a scenario like this means a big-time snowmaker. Not going to be the case there, though, and that's because just south of that Pacific or subtropical flow of the jet, it's going to be downright hot. In fact, from south of New York all the way down to the east coast of Florida, think Daytona Beach, think Vero Beach, it's going to be blast furnace hot, while here we're going to be pretty chilly. So we've got a lot going on here in the next few days, and we want you to keep it on WTHR and also on 13 Plus here. So here's what we're looking at then. The clouds are going to increase, and of course we've got that snow around the area tonight. This evening will drop down to 32, but remember, that warm front is going to move through here late in the evening, early in the morning, so this transfers to all rain. 42 will be the high. Snow with light snow accumulation, I just don't see much here. 31 degrees. And then this is the big kahuna, man. This is the massive change. Remember I showed you the polar jet? That will drop all the way south to about Tupelo, Mississippi. So as a result, next week we're talking about single-digit temperatures in the morning and highs only in the teens. This is really going to be cold. I hope you didn't put away your winter clothing yet. 8 degrees Monday morning with a high of 18. A few flurries around Bloomington on Tuesday. 6 in the morning, 19 in the afternoon. On Wednesday, 9 in the morning, 18 in the afternoon, another snow chance. And some flurries will blow around with a high of 17 on Thursday. I'm Chuck Lofton for Matt Standridge. Thanks for watching. Of course, we've got a big weekend. Remember to keep tuning in here to 13 Plus for updates. You can download that WTHR weather app on your phone. Not only will you have the latest forecast, but you're also going to have interactive radar. And by golly, you're going to get to use it this weekend. So thanks for watching. Have yourself a great Valentine's Day and a wonderful weekend.